I never imagined my marriage would end like this. 5 years together, with no signs, no obvious hints of betrayal. My wife had always been reserved, dedicated to her work as a primary school teacher. Our routine was calm, with no mysteries, a typical life of a middle-class family. But that night, everything changed. We were in our bedroom, lost in each other, connected as we always were. The sweat on her skin, the low moans that always made me feel desired. Then, at the peak of pleasure, she whispered a name that wasn't mine. "Ah, Ricardo," she said more urgently, more forcefully. "Make me like only you know how." The moment those words hit my ears, I froze. My body went numb as if I'd been thrown into a freezing lake. My heart raced, and my mind scrambled to comprehend what I had just heard. She realized immediately, trying to cover up, turning her face in shame. "What did you say?" I asked, barely able to contain the disbelief in my voice. I said your name," she quickly answered, but her eyes were wide with fear. "No, you didn't. You said Ricardo," I retorted coldly. Her voice trembled as she fumbled for an explanation. "It was a mistake. I was excited, confused. I said your name. You misheard me." She tried to smile, but it was clear her nerves were getting the better of her. I stared at her in silence for a long moment, making her even more uncomfortable. I knew what I had heard. My mind raced with questions. How did this happen? When? Why was I going through this? There had never been any signs. Nothing that would suggest she had been unfaithful. No change in behavior. No suspicious outings. No late nights with friends. No extra hours at work. Nothing at all that could have pointed to a possible affair. It was as if everything was normal. I stood up and got dressed without saying a word. She panicked, seeing my reaction. "Where are you going?" "Please, let's talk about this," she begged, grabbing my arm. I pulled away from her touch. "I need some time to think. I need to process everything that happened tonight." My voice was empty, cold. I left the house and wandered aimlessly for hours as my phone buzzed constantly with her calls, messages, and apologies. It was a mistake. Please come home. You misheard me. I'd never hurt you. But I knew what I had heard. I couldn't pretend nothing had happened. I decided to stay at my parents' house for a few days to clear my head. A week later, after some time to think, I returned home. She greeted me with swollen eyes and a worn face, once again apologizing and denying that she had said that name. It was a slip-up, a stupid mistake, she said, and I pretended to believe her, but deep inside, I knew I needed answers. I had to know the truth. I started investigating with everything at my disposal, checking her phone when she was asleep, looking into her messages and schedules. Then I found something, a contact saved as Orientador Advisor, but the messages revealed a different story. Today was incredible. I can still taste you in my mouth. I can't wait to see you again on Wednesday. The shock of reading those messages was worse than hearing those words in bed. My stomach twisted in knots. I now had the undeniable proof that my wife was cheating on me. Wednesday came, and I followed her. She went to the school parking lot earlier than usual. He was waiting for her. Ricardo wasn't some muscular man. He was an ordinary guy, a colleague, another teacher, just like her. I watched them, taking note of everything. The kisses, the things they did inside the car. When she returned home later, I was waiting for her in the living room. "How was the class, dear?" I asked, watching her shift uncomfortably. "It was fine. Nothing out of the ordinary," she replied, trying to sound casual. "And Ricardo? Did he think the class went well, too?" I asked coldly. Her face drained of color as she heard his name. Fear filled her eyes. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. "The class you had with him in the parking lot this afternoon. I saw everything," I said, my voice cutting through her denial. "I saw you, too, doing a lot of interesting activities in the car." She froze, panic taking over. "Oh my God, you followed me," she gasped. "I can explain," she began, but I cut her off with a wave of my hand. "No need. I already know everything." I slammed the phone on the table, with the messages open for her to see. She covered her mouth, her eyes filled with tears. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you. I've always loved you. But I got lost. I was lonely, and I gave into his attention. I let myself be seduced. I stood up, looking at her with disbelief. You've already hurt me, and now you will face the consequences. I left the house again, leaving her alone with her guilt. The next day, when she came back, the house was empty. All my belongings were gone, except for an envelope on the table with divorce papers inside. She called me, crying, begging for forgiveness, but I had made my decision. The consequences of her betrayal didn't end there. Rumors began to spread throughout the school. Someone had witnessed their meeting in the parking lot and decided to spread the story. The affair of a married teacher with a married colleague became public. Parents started demanding action from the school. What kind of example is she setting for our children? They said. The pressure became unbearable. The school, hoping to avoid a scandal, dismissed Ricardo. But that wasn't enough. The whispers in the halls, the laughter of the students behind her back. The daily humiliation was too much. Ricardo couldn't take it and quit, but she tried to hold on. One day, she was called into the principal's office and came out with her eyes swollen and a resignation letter in hand. She lost her job, her reputation, the respect of her colleagues and students. Her family was in shock. Her mother stopped talking to her, and her father, furious, told her she had brought shame to the family. Her friends distanced themselves. Invitations stopped coming. After the divorce, she and Ricardo tried to be together, but it didn't work. They were fine as lovers in the heat of betrayal. But when they tried to be a real couple, they realized they had nothing in common. The fights began, the desire faded, and guilt hung in the air. Before they could build anything, everything collapsed. The relationship ended as expected. She came to me one last time, crying, begging me to forgive her. I lost everything, please. Forgive me. Her voice was broken, almost a whisper. I looked at her, emotionless. Now you understand. Betrayal has a price, and you've paid it. I turned my back and walked away without looking back. Some wounds never heal, and betrayal always demands its price. Sometimes that price is too high to pay. My ex-wife understood that now.